In the hollows of Cutler's Notch, a nowhere town tucked deep in Maine's pine-choked wilderness, folks still whispered about the whistling wraith. It wasn't a ghost, not in the clean way you'd think, sheet white and rattling chains. No, this was something older. Something that crawled out of the Algonquin tales the old-timers swore by. A thing born from hunger and frostbite and the kind of desperation that makes a man eat his own kin. They said it lived in the wind, that high, lonesome whistle you'd hear when the nor'easters roared down from Canada. Most dismissed it as superstition, a yarn spun to keep kids from wandering too far into the woods. But Tommy Pruitt, 16 and cocky as a rooster, wasn't most people. Tommy'd grown up on his grandpa's stories, how the wraith wasn't just sound, but a presence, a skeletal shadow with eyes like frost-bitten saws, always humming its tune. Grandpa said it hunted the greedy, the ones who took more than they needed, and it didn't kill quick. It'd follow you, whistling soft, until your nerves frayed and you started seeing it in every swaying branch, every flicker of moonlight. Then, when you were good and broken, it'd peel you apart, slow, and stitch your bones into its own rattling frame. Tommy laughed it off, called it old man bullshit. But he couldn't resist the dare. His buddies bet him $20 to swipe a deer skull from the abandoned trapper's shack out by Dead Man's Bog. The wraith's supposed haunt. Easy money, he figured. That night, the wind was up, keening through the trees like a widow's wail. Tommy trudged out alone, flashlight bobbing, his breath puffing in the October chill. The shack loomed ahead, a rotting husk of logs and moss, windows black as tar. Inside, the air stank of damp rot and something sour, like meat gone bad. He found the skull quick, antlers chipped, jaw unhinged, propped on a shelf like an offering. He snatched it, grinning. But as he turned to leave, the wind shifted. It wasn't just blowing now, it was singing. A thin, reedy whistle, rising and falling, threading through the trees like a needle through cloth. His grin faltered. Just the storm, he muttered, but his feet moved faster. Halfway back, the whistling sharpened, closer, curling around him like smoke. He swung the flashlight, nothing but pines and shadows. Then he heard it, a dry, clicking sound, bone on bone, behind him. He spun, and there, just past the beam's edge, something swayed. A tall, gaunt shape, all angles and hollows, its head tilted like it was listening. Tommy bolted, skull clutched tight, heart hammering. The whistling chased him, louder now, threading through his skull, and that clicking, Jesus! That clicking, kept pace. He tripped, fell hard, and the skull skittered into the dark. When he scrambled up, the thing was closer, its eyes glinting like ice under a moonless sky, and its mouth, God help him, stretched wide, whistling through jagged, yellow teeth. Tommy made it home, barely, slamming the door and sobbing into his mother's arms. The skull was gone, left out there, and the whistling stopped, at least outside. But that night, under his blankets, he heard it again, faint, inside his head. It didn't leave. Days turned to weeks, and Tommy withered, eyes sunken, skin gray, muttering about bones and wind. The docs called it psychosis, but his grandpa knew better. You took from it, he whispered. And it's taking back. Last anyone saw of Tommy Pruitt, he was shambling toward Dead Man's Bog, whistling that same damn tune, his fingers clawing at his own ribs like he meant to give them up. The wind howled that night, louder than ever, and Cutler's Notch added another name to its quiet, fearful lore.